Okay, this week we are going to be working with numerical and algebraic expressions, but more importantly, we are going to be translating written verbal phrases and turning them into expressions with numbers and variables and operations. So this is our second unit, and it's called the language of algebra. As I said, we're talking about expressions. We are going to be discussing the words of math. We'll practice some translating things. And this week, you really are going to continue practicing identifying the words and the operations and translating written phrases into algebraic and numerical ones. So, as a review, we are talking about algebraic and numerical expressions. So algebraic expressions have numbers, variables, and operations. Numerical expressions only have numbers and operations. We've been working, or 2 weeks ago, we were working with numerical expressions as we were working on operations. Last week, we actually worked with algebraic expressions as we were working on evaluating expressions. And just as a reminder, an expression is a phrase in math. It does not have an equal sign. So that's the main difference between an expression and an equation. Equations have the equal sign, expressions do not. And as I said last week, with expressions, your variables can be any number, and so you can get any answer. When you have equations, your variable can only be one number to make it true. So as a review of your vocabulary terms, terms are groups of coefficients, variables, and or constants, and they are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So when you see an expression and it asks how many terms there are, you're looking for how many things are being added and subtracted together. Variable is an unknown quantity represented by a letter. X is the most common variable used in algebra. You can use any letter of the alphabet. Coefficient is the number that is multiplied by the variable. It is to the left of the variable, smushed right next to the variable. You can't separate the two. And again, remember, you can't see addition, subtraction, or division, so the only operation that's left is multiplication. And a constant is a number that stands alone. It's a regular number, plain Jane number you're used to seeing, and it does not have any variable. So as a quick review, in the first expression, 4x minus y, how many terms are there? Well, there are two things and they're being subtracted together, so we have two terms, 4x and negative y. As a review, your variables are x and y. You do not have a constant, and your coefficient for x is 4, and technically your coefficient for y is negative 1. Whenever you have a variable without a coefficient, it's understood that the coefficient is 1. We just don't write it. So in the second expression, 2x, well, there's only one thing there, so it's one term, and that term is 2x. Again, because it's only one term, there's no constant. Your variable is x, and your coefficient is 2. And for the last expression, 7x squared minus 12x plus 13, you have three different things being added and subtracted together. So you have three terms, 7x squared, negative 12x, and 13. Your variable here is x. Your coefficients are 7 for x squared and negative 12 for negative 12x. And your constant here is 13. Notice 13 is by itself, it's a regular number, so that's what makes it the constant.